Today's a great day to be great and to make tomorrow better than yesterday. Bobby Boucher, did you drink your water, boy? Did you think of all the boys and all the girls in the world who needed help that looked to us to lead a better way?
Hello, my name is Jeffrey McKinney, and this is the Our Diverse Perspective Conversation Series. Today is an exciting time for me. I would say, we've done these in the past, and over the last 3 years, we've with just as with everything else, we've put our intentions to getting better and better and better. And today we have a very special guest that I'm very excited to share this space with and give some insight into how we came to know one another and actually hear his perspective on the various questions that we've prepared on our side. And so today we're joined by Ed Cotter. And so Ed, just so you know, the way that I normally do this is in the very beginning, I'll share, just kind of the background into how we came to meet, and then I'll pause and then give you a moment to give a introduction for yourself as well.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So Ed and I have known each other for maybe 6 months, I would say. And it was I think we were meant to definitely cross paths. And so we met on LinkedIn in the comments section. And so as you guys know, or may not know, I am also the founder and CEO of Ontegration, and we're building Responsible Media, which is responsible social. And so I spend a lot of time on social media, just getting an understanding for what those tools are offering at that time about various instances that I find intriguing or meaningful to society as a whole. And one name kept popping up. Well, there were a bunch of names that kept popping up. I would say that they're pretty common participants. But the one that stood out to me was Ed. And the reason being is because Ed showed up. I would say it was tenacity. He was in a place where he was the minority in these conversations, and he didn't hesitate to speak and shine his light, regardless of what the tone was and what the repercussions may have been. I saw in a few instances where my heart went out to Ed because I knew that the things that he was sharing would be interpreted in a different way than what he intended. And so, with that being said, I reached out and it was like sparks flying when we first had our initial conversation. And in that hour, we both concluded that we were on similar paths and that it was better for us to move into a space to where we envision collaborating going forward. And so with that said, I would like to introduce everyone to Ed Cotter, and give Ed a moment to give an introduction for himself.
Hi, Ed Cotter. As Jeff explained, we met through LinkedIn. It was just mutual conversations on some similar threads. And it was nice to see common theme in the comments and understand what each other was trying to put out. Though looking at us, where we grew up, how we went through life, I don't think you could find two people that kind of had the common theme and what we were trying to do, walk these two paths and come to the same conclusion.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty nice way of saying it. And so, you spend how much time a week do you spend in that type of engaged in that type of activity, would you say, Ed?
Social, probably anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. It depends upon what's going on. Summertime coming, I'm probably going to be a little bit on the lesser side. Winters, I tend to find an outlet in being able to talk about subjects regardless of whether I'm the majority or the minority. It's always discussing, and look, there's always another point of view. And that's the one that we've got to get to, is that we can agree to disagree. And we're not going to agree all the time. We never are. We're all diverse individuals. We have multitude of thoughts that there are going to be things we're going to disagree on. And that's okay. That's fine. I don't mind those.
And so when I think about it from my perspective, why I spent the time there, at that time I was spending much more time than I spend today. I don't know about my flow and how what will end up being. I think it was part of my investigative process into understanding what community looks like there on that particular platform. And so I'd like to ask, from your perspective, what are 3 words that describe community for you, and why those 3 words?
Family, friendship, and sincerity. Family, because we're all related. We're all on this earth together. There's not one thing that we can't do that will either negatively or positively impact another person. We're going to touch each other no matter how we do it. And I say friends, and the reason for friends is I've grown up with many friends throughout my time, and we have had disagreements. We have come to, I won't say blows, but we have had some verbal spats that, oh, there is no way of coming back from this. And we did. We're still friends. We had our moments. We said, well, crap, we didn't handle that the best way we could have, and go from there. And sincerity in having the conviction to follow through in what you are saying. It's an old cliche, but walk the walk, talk the talk. If you're not going to do both, you might as well be quiet and let the conversation go where it's going to go.
Awesome. So family, friends, sincerity. Now, with those 3, that's how you describe community. Let's talk a little bit about your role day to day, and how, when faced with challenges, what resources do you go and access to be able to overcome? Like, what are your go-tos?
Usually family first. It's just, my mother raised me to be very strong-willed. Just follow your convictions. It's one of those, wrong is wrong, whether everybody's doing it, and right is right, even if nobody is doing it. It's just, and I guess the best way to describe it is she put Catholic guilt in me, that there is always somebody watching. Even if I'm by myself, there is always somebody watching. And it's one of those that even if nobody else knows I did wrong, I did. I know.
That's awesome.
It's one of those, nope, I can't do that. You got to do it right, regardless of whether it hurts you or not. And that's where you show the conviction of who you are, is what you do when nobody is watching.
Wow. I've got some very I've had some very traumatic experiences, and I believe I've shared some with you, and I'll share more in other platforms. But to hear you say that, it's one of the reasons why I was drawn to say this is a long-term partnership, and because I believe that it's incumbent upon us to build communities that provide resources that, at the spirit of those communities, when the challenging times arise, then we can live in that fashion. And so Talk to me, if you would, a little bit about, um, in the instances, which I'm sure you've faced them before as well, where there's not others that have that same type of high character, high integrity, kind of locked in on not compromising in that area. Um, how has that impacted your well-being, and how have you made sure to show up in those times?
I want to say it probably impacted me the greatest when social media first came out. It was one of those, I kind of felt like I needed everybody to like me. And we needed to have that similar thought. And when somebody spoke out, it was almost like you were being reprimanded by a parent. And it took me a little while to understand that people come from every angle differently. And through the course of a conversation, you can find the ones that, even though they don't think like you, they're sincere in that. Mm. And then you can weed out most of them that are just there just to create chaos. That's their sole purpose in life, is they're not happy, so nobody's happy. Once you can learn to weed those out, life gets a hell of a lot better. And that's what I've come to, is knowing that, as with you, as with others, there are others on LinkedIn I don't completely agree with, but I respect their opinion, and because they are sincere in what they are looking at and saying.
What I appreciate about you, Ed, is that you actually think before you act. Even in the way that we engage, every time you take a moment to stop, pause, digest something that I may say or someone else may say, and then you come back with a very, very thoughtful perspective around whatever it is that's being shared. And one of the things that jumps out to me when you were talking is you said that there were a certain group that you've concluded that they're there just for chaos. And so it seems like the way that you're thinking about this, and this is reality. These people will never change or never have an opportunity to see things differently. Is that what you're saying, that we should maybe not try to reach those people, or are you saying that maybe we should prioritize them so that we are going towards another audience first? What are your thoughts there? And the reason why I'm asking this is because, as you know, I'm building solutions, and so I don't have an answer at this moment about whether or not I feel like some are a lost cause. But I also realize that one of my weaknesses is that I want to help everyone, even those that may not desire it.
Part of it is my personality. And I'll take a long path to get to probably what everybody's going to look at is the short answer. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that Linda, my wife, picks on me about is I'm the one that tends to run towards the chaos rather than walking around the chaos. I grew up, in junior high and high school, I was a volunteer firefighter. So I learned, as long as you're trained, you understand what you've got to do, you can step into chaos and come out. And the benefit is helping somebody else. Now, you brought up the aspect of, should we kind of push off the chaotic or go to the chaotic? I'm kind of more the ones that I tend to engage the chaotic more, because I'm trying to show them that there is a way to have a conversation even when we disagree. And it may be simplistic, but I kind of look at them as the 2-year-old that you're trying to explain, if you do this, you're going to get hurt. but you're trying to do it in a way that they understand that you're not trying to be mean or you're trying to bring them down. You're trying to help them understand so they don't get hurt. And going to the chaotic, it's having the same tone, the same conversation, and hoping that you get up through to one. Because if you can start with one, then that one turns into two, that two turns into four, and you keep the ripple going to get out and hopefully get to more people. Now, is that something that's going to happen right away or with each conversation? No, that's a repetitive come at it and talk and discuss and say and work and stay true and sincere to what you're doing so that the person knows, hey, I may not disagree with Ed, but he's going to come at me the same way every single time, and I don't have to fear something odd.
So I love that answer. And the reason why is when you were talking about, you're basically saying, let's give people an opportunity to be exposed to a different way. And one of the things that I think about as I'm building technology and I'm engaging and I'm thinking about my own purpose, each time there's a traumatic experience that takes place, someone is impacted. But nobody really thinks about the way that the person who deals the trauma is impacted. It's almost like what I've seen over time is that the lack of accountability is almost them being fortified in their own way to say, yeah, I can do this, and there's nothing wrong with this. And yeah, oh, that person over there, they're just soft, or whatever the thing is, that whatever the adjective, whatever the name they use in that situation. And so, I think it's key for society and humanity to have a place to go, to have resources. So in those moments where this person is fortified and they feel like they're not being treated fairly, then they'll have a place to go. Give me your thoughts on what you think about what would it look like, or what would the experience be like if there was a place that you could go and know that the algorithm was not about an ulterior motive. It was about your rhythm, and it was about how can we best serve humanity through leveraging technology to build community and provide resources.
Up front, kind of a jest, I would almost prefer the world be blind. And the reason I say that is because then you have to talk to somebody to understand what's going on. And I think it's to the point where social media and everything and haste and purpose is, I need to figure out who it is fast. All right, I can see that you're groomed, you got a suit on, so now and you start mentally forming what you think that person is. And you've stopped allowing that person to talk to you to understand what's going on. And that's the one thing that I try not to do in any shape, size, or form. I don't care what your book cover says. It's a picture. It doesn't tell me the years and the life that you led before that picture, nor does it tell me the life and the things and the struggles that you've gone through after that picture. It just shows me the picture. And I can draw all kinds of conclusions based on my preferences, because now I start taking my history and applying it to what I think happened in yours. And you can't. The only way you can do it is what we're doing right now. Have a conversation, talk to each other. Now, granted, as we continue those, there are going to be times we're going to disagree. And I understand that. But we're having a conversation. we know we're going to disagree. We understand why we may disagree. And that's because of family. That's because of our upbringing. That's because of what we've gone through in life. That's because of some of the things that we find that we like that somebody else may not. You know, and I'll put it to, if everybody liked the same thing, why do we have almost 300 or 400 different types of cars on the road? If everybody liked the same thing, wouldn't we have one?
I would
No.
say that would make sense.
So that's why we need a spot where people can go to, and you've got somebody that's going to, well, I've gone through something similar, maybe not exactly like yours, but I understand that you need help to come out of your shell, understanding that, yes, some trauma happens. And sometimes we're our own worst enemy when that trauma occurs. Because usually, what's the first thing we think of when trauma happens to us? From my perspective, we start blaming ourselves. What did I do wrong? What did I do? What did I? And we start going through the litany of self-deprecation, and we spiral even deeper. Yeah. So instead of getting to that point, someplace where we can talk and say, hey, I've had this happen. Well, let's talk through it. Let's find out what's going on. Now, I'm not a licensed therapist, but hell, I love to talk. I'll talk to anybody. We'll find something that we can talk about. And then once you get that crack in there, then it starts going deeper. It starts going a little bit more. And you start understanding and growing that, yeah, we're two different people. But if you crack this down to the core, we have the same thought process.
You know, I as I'm listening to you think about it, speak on the question, you know, it all goes back to a person's heart. And you have a heart that wants to help, that wants to see others succeed, that wants to see others be given the opportunity to fail or win, to go through the journey of whatever it is to achieve their purpose and go on and deliver on behalf of others. And that's very similar to how I feel. And so, you know, I think about, you know, for example, one of the dark situations that I had to me was I had a coworker inside of a corporate system that just, you know, just thought that he could treat me any kind of way. And I went to leadership multiple times. I went to HR multiple times. I went to the chief diversity officer. She told me she was too busy. I even went to the CEO, and none of that worked out for me. I walked away with my PTSD and trying to figure out, like, where did I fit in this world? And so it's what lit me on fire to be able to say, you know, now I have to think about myself and really why am I having these experiences? Am I what that they said I was? Am I that? I never agreed with any of it. And that's why I loved the statement that you were making about the thoughts that come in these traumatic experiences about oneself. And what I would say to everyone out there is that you always have to believe the best, the absolute very best about yourself. That doesn't mean that you're perfect. I'm not perfect. It's not perfect.
Nobody is. Nobody is.
But if a corporation can have a slogan where the entire corporation is saying, let's go fail fast, then we should be allowed to fail and celebrate the learning in that as well. And so that's you know, to hear what you're saying, it's spot on. It's spot on. Hold on just a second here. So let's jump into the next one. So, who is your mentor, and how has mentorship influenced your success?
It's going to be odd. It really is. But I'd have to say my father. Now,
Okay.
the history and why it's odd is my mother and father divorced when I was 12.
Okay.
My father walked away and never said boo to the family ever again. He turned into a
Wow.
ghost, never found him. The last time I found him, uh, I think was 10 or 15 years ago. My mother filed for Social Security. And my economics professor said, well, you know, if they were married for X number of years, she could draw his Social Security. So I told her. And that's when Social Security confirmed that he had passed away. Now, the reason I say he's my mentor is he taught me everything that I needed to know of how not to be. He taught me that you don't, he, by walking away from family, I learned that you never walk away from family. You stay with family. That is your lifeline to life, no matter how you want to put it together. Family is where everything starts first. And I raised my boys that way. I told them that no matter what happens, I don't care how mad you are at each other. All you've got in this world when everything boils down and it's just chaos everywhere is each other. That's how you get through it. You help each other. He taught me that you stay around and you're in your kids' lives, you're in your family's lives. You don't walk away and start a whole new family because you didn't like the way something happened in the current one. No, you don't do that. And that's how he kind of mentored me in. I looked at him and said, that's not what you do. That's not how you behave. That's not the way you should do it. And that reinforced everything that I taught for my boys in everything that we need to do, everything we need to stay together. The foundation has to be intact before you can build anything else.
Uh, Kudos to you, Ed. You know, we all face adversity. Not all of us do with that type of bright side of things, taking a challenge and actually making it something that you're inspired by. And so I want to applaud that. I want to for me, I had a very similar type of relationship with my father. And I thought about things very similar to that as I began. I was a young father as well, and I would always say, "Well, I just need to do the opposite of what I saw there." And so to hear you say that, um, again, two guys from two different places, a set of experiences and some commonalities that really that without us, we never shared that story before. And so that's great to hear. I agree with a lot of that. And so my family is in the other room right now. My daughter may bust in here at any moment now, and she's welcome to do so. I think she busted in on our last
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
Yeah, I love to have that common theme. And you said it at the beginning of this conversation. You talked about we're all connected, we're all family. And so I would say um, the the question that I have from that is, what do you think the long-term consequences are if we do not decide to unify and pursue giving people and humanity an opportunity to show what we can do together?
One word, Extinction.
Hmm.
It'll end. The human race will be nothing more than just cannibalistic tribes out to try and outdo each other. And
That sounds like
that's what we are.
that sounds like we're going backwards. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly. If we ignore everything and we don't reach out and try, use your imagination. I think I'd rather be in purgatory than where this would end up.
I have imagined it, and it's one of the reasons why I decided is, we the doers, we are responsible for change. And so how can we ever expect change when we're not willing to take responsibility for driving it? And so,
Good point.
yeah, this is the reason why when I see an Ed, I gotta connect. I gotta see, if it's real. We live in an age right now where everybody's talking about AI, 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 and I'm, so many people. I'm like, are you listening to what you're saying? The word artificial has a connotation of what? Name me a good thing that comes from anything artificial.
Nothing.
Nothing. And so the next savior of the world, the next great contribution of the world is supposed to be something that starts with the word artificial. That is pretty much a name change from machine learning, which is something that went kaboom about 5 years ago. No, it is not the truth. The real answer is unifying humanity. And for us all not to have to agree, but to get into a community to where we understand and each other enough that we embrace our differences. And it's nothing to debate about. It's okay. Well, you see it that way. That's fine. And we move on and we go and build together. So I'll finish here. I think I know the answer. What are the greatest opportunities for us as a whole to cultivate one community?
Well, it's what we're talking on right now, technology. It's the greatest way of being able to connect with so many different people. Now, without technology, without LinkedIn, the social network, would you and I have ever met? I don't know. You're in, if I remember correctly, you're in the suburb, you're in Frisco, Texas.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine that lives in Frisco. And in fact, we're supposed to be getting together the 1st of October because the New England Patriots are coming down to play the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T.
Count me in.
So
yeah,
we're going down. So we're going to go and get together, but he's in Frisco. He and his wife live in Frisco. Now, there's an opportunity we might bump into each other, but the population, the intersection of where we may or may not go, I'd have a better chance of winning the lottery than finding you in Frisco somewhere.
That's correct.
Where on LinkedIn, the technology, we can sit here and have a conversation. You're at your house, I'm in my house. We're having a conversation like we're sitting in the same room.
Yeah,
that technology to be able to link us together, we're lost.
Yeah, I need to upgrade my Zoom here. It's telling me that I have 1 minute left before our time is up. So, and this has been a very, very fruitful dialogue, and we're going to continue these. You're going to join our business updates, and we're going to build something great together. What I will say is thank you for being seen. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your love of people, and thank you for giving your gifts on purpose, for purpose.
And thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Yes.
I love conversations that go this way. Thank you.
At Our Diverse Perspectives, we focus on supporting business owners and entrepreneurs so that communities prosper. To learn more about how we can support you, please visit www.ourdiverseperspectives.com. Sign up for your evaluation today.